Good afternoon, everybody. This is Dr. K from the Black Hills Regional Eye Institute, and I wanted to show you this case. This is the end of the case, and I'm pulling here on this last bit of cortex. You can see, if you look closely, you can see that I'm also pulling the posterior portion of the capsule, and it's transmitting into the equator, and we're pulling the capsule, and just with that thin film of cortex, you're pulling the whole back because the zonules are loose in this section. Now, I tried not to pull too much. It's almost counterintuitive, like why wouldn't this last bit of cortex come out? It's just because the zonules are so loose in that area. So we're not going to push it because we got kind of the big sheets of cortex out. It's just a little bit of wispy remains, and we're going to leave those, but you can see the bag in two places has lost some of those posterior zonules. The anterior capsular axis is still round, but the posterior bag has some folds in it right below the incision and also kind of below the side port incision. So what we're going to do is we're going to put in some Provisc, and we're going to fill that up. We're going to leave that remaining wispy cortex. That'll dissolve if it doesn't come out. And then we're going to put in a capsular tension ring. And there's a few different ways of putting in capsular tension rings. For this example, we're going to be using kind of the injector, but you can put them in without injector and just manually load it. But what I usually try and do is I'm right-handed, so I have the capsular tension ring going to the right. And I try and hold the tip with either a second instrument or a Sinskey. This second instrument has a little kind of ball on the end, so it's too wide. So what we're going to do is take a Sinskey hook, and we're going to put it in that leading eyelet. And as we inject, we're going to let really kind of the large, blunt portion of the capsular tension ring push into the bag. I don't like having that leading eyelet kind of push around and maybe catch on some weak bag and then tear it. You just have to make sure you move that eyelet and let it rotate properly. And once that capsular tension ring is in, then you can release both ends. And you can see that goes in without too much distortion. Now, the capsular fornix is all the way in the periphery. You don't see the weakness in the capsule as you did. We're going to put a little more Provisc in, and then we'll get our lens in. But it's key to notice that as I was pulling on that cortex, even though it looked like it was just a little bit of cortex that was remaining and just a few strands, the posterior area, those posterior zonules were so weak, it was pulling the entire bag. And what you're going to do if you're too aggressive is you're just going to dislocate all of those zonules on the temporal half there, and you'll probably still be able to put in just a standard capsular tension ring, but if you do too much, you may wind up putting in a capsular tension segment and having to anchor that to the scleral wall. You want to avoid that if you can. So we will gently get our one-piece lens in the bag. I don't think that this patient needs a three-piece lens in the sulcus, but you could do that as well in addition to your capsular tension ring, and then we'll go behind the lens. We'll get out all of our Provisc. You can still see there's some strands of cortex remaining there, and it's probably not worth trying to get those out because right now they're stuck behind the capsular tension ring. So we'll sweep the angle, make sure there's no remaining viscoelastic there. There's maybe a little bit of cortex adhered to the posterior capsule. I'm probably going to leave that because you can always do YAG, but I don't really want any more trauma to that capsular bag. That's it. We'll seal up the incisions, but I wanted to show you how, even though it just looked like I was pulling on some remaining cortex, it was tugging the whole capsule. I don't really feel like the capsule was engaged in the IA. Oh, there we go, trying to get out that little piece of material behind the lens. I don't really feel like the capsule was engaged in the IA, but just pulling on the cortex got the that posterior capsular sheet very loose, likely because the zonules were loose to begin with in that area. All right. Hope you folks have a great day. We'll see you next time.